Hi guys, this is Arnav and with me is
Hi.
Prateek. We are two of the founding members at Coding Blocks. We are very proud to bring you this course, the interview preparation one. We have run this course offline for over a year now. We have gotten really good reviews. We have had a lot of our students getting into some really good companies. You can look at codingblogs.com, the success stories page, right? So this is the first time we're doing it online. We are starting with this part of the course, which is the bootcamp part, which is going to have the non-coding part. And after that, I think a lot of you guys are already so I think what 50 of them, right?
Yeah.
50 of them you are already subscribed to the later part, which is the algorithms part, which Pratik Bhaiya would be telling.
So in algorithms part, we will be talking about data structures, important interview questions, puzzles, algorithms related to dynamic programming, greedy, brute force, recursion, backtracking, and all those stuff, which is I think important for interviews. And for most of the companies, the algorithms part is the most important, right? And especially the topics like arrays, sorting and searching, binary search. These are some of the most important topics that we will be focusing upon. And I hope you will learn a lot from this course and you will be able to do well in placement and internships, right?
Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just give you a quick demo of how to use the platform to access this course, and then I'll give you an overview of what are the topics that we are going to cover in this course. I already there are some questions. Let me just quickly go to them and answer those. So, which language will be used for the coding part?
So it will be C++, right? But if you're comfortable in any other language like Python or Java, you can also practice assignments in that also. And someone is asking about the machine learning online course. Yeah, we are working on this course, and you can expect this course after mid of July, right? So by mid of July, we will launch this course, and it will be a long course, right? Because we will be focusing on fundamentals, the mathematics of machine learning, the how to implement algorithms from scratch, and it will be around 4 months course, right? So even if you join in summers, you won't be able to complete it by July. So we are launching it in July, and it will take your entire semester to complete the online machine learning course, right? Because we are going to do it very deeply and with lots of topics in it.
Okay, so Aditya has asked how to make sure that I'm in touch with my coding knowledge if you're interning this summer. I think one of the best ways is to regularly visit a platform like Hacker Blocks, or there are other Code Chef and all these platforms. You can visit them and try at least a couple of questions every day. I think that's the best thing to do. Also, there is a very good book called Cracking the Coding Interview by Gail McDowell. You can cover that during. I think it won't take a lot of time. If you are interning as a developer somewhere, you would still have enough time to cover those things.
Yeah, it will be an online course regarding machine learning course, right? Uh,
Nans, technical questions. What kind of technical questions? You just feel free to ask any question. You'd like to answer them. And I'm not really sure about what kind of technical question are you asking. How to use the platform, those kind of things, or about some doubts you have in any topics. But whatever question you have, please go forward and ask. We'll try to answer them. I'll just move over to just showing you how to access the platform. So all of you, those who have registered already for the course, you have gotten welcome email with some links and with some steps. The first thing is, in case you have not gotten the welcome email, please send an email to you can send an email to me. I think it's arnav@codingblogs.com, or you can send a mail to priyanshu@codingblogs.com. So Priyanshu Bhaiya takes care of admissions and all other operations at Coding Blocks. You can send a mail to me or to him. We'll make sure that you get the welcome email in case you have not gotten the welcome email. Okay, most of the steps there are pretty sufficient, but I'll just walk you through the process. You'll have to go to this website online.codingblogs.com. Okay, once you go there, you would see this website. Okay, you have to log in. I'm already logged in. If you are not logged in, you can log in via Facebook or GitHub or Twitter. You can connect those accounts, or if you already have an account on the Coding Blocks older login system, the LMS system. People who had done an offline course on Coding Blocks, you might have an account on that. You can use the same username, password, that. So you can use any of those things to log in. Once you're logged in, go to My Courses page, okay? And once you go to My Courses page, if you have not already done this step, you can put your email ID here, click on Send OTP, and you would get an OTP to register yourself into the interview preparation course, okay? Put an email ID and send an OTP, right? Like if I put, so it must be an email that is registered with us already. So if you get this message, cannot send OTP, then also please send us an email telling us about the problem. We will help you with that. You will get an OTP on your email. You have to paste that OTP right here. Once you do that, inside your My Courses tab, if you just refresh My Courses.
So a lot of queries are coming. So as of now, I would recommend you to ask these queries offline by calling on our toll-free number regarding the dates and the price of the course. And there was one query by Akanksha. She was saying that she could not complete the course due to health issues. And yes, Akanksha, we will help you to shift to the next batch, next course, right? And for all such queries regarding Django course, ML course, offline versus online, you can contact us personally through email, or you can also visit our center, right? So in this demo, we are going to show you how you can get started with the interview prep online course. All right?
Yeah. Now in your My Classroom course, after you have pasted your OTP into this and submitted that, then you will find out this interview prep bootcamp as one of the courses right here. Okay. So you click on the resume button that's shown here. This should bring you to the course overview page. It shows the overview of the course. Okay. If there are some announcements and all those things that are going to be there. The solve your doubt section will start coming up once the forum gets connected and you guys start posting some doubts. Then solve your doubt section would come up here. Okay. Right now there aren't any posts. Okay. Click on resume learning. When you click on resume learning, you'll see that the video starts playing. As of now, right now, today, if you try and attempt this, you will find that the introduction section, there is introduction video, there is a networks topic. There are around 6 videos in that. Over the next 2 days, I'm going to publish more videos on networking, and then we'll move on to operating systems. Okay. So that's the process on how to access the course dashboard. If anybody has any questions on this process, please do ask. When you're trying it out, if you get stuck, feel free to email me or to ask on the WhatsApp channel that you're part of. The second thing is, if you have any doubts, like technical doubts about the things that are being covered, like if you have doubts about the content of the course, basically, okay, not how to enroll or when is the next webinar, not those logistical issues. I'm talking about content related doubts, which about the topics that you're being taught. So for that, we try to maintain a forum. So it's on this website, discuss.codingblocks.com. The link to the forum has also been emailed to you in the welcome email that you have gotten. And inside that, there is online courses, and inside online courses, there is a doubts forum for interview prep online summer. So you go here and post whatever content related doubts that you might be encountering. Okay. So mostly these are 2 things that you need to be aware of: how to consume the content, how to ask doubts. People who ask doubts there and which are solved, they will automatically show up on the doubts panel in the dashboard of the course. So if you're in the dashboard of the course, you'll see that your doubts that have been asked by other people would also come up here. So it will turn into a FAQ kind of section. People whose most of the questions which have been asked for by maximum people would show up here. So most common doubts should be showing here. Something like Stack Overflow will be there. Okay. So now let's come to the topics that we will cover during this course, and why this course in the first place, right? So we just talk about this. Interviews are going to ask you a lot of things, and the coding part is very important. Most of the larger sized companies that you're gonna attempt for, like say Flipkart, Zomato, Urban Clap, or any these size companies, these are usually product focused companies. They are looking for people who have some product development skills along with core coding knowledge. There are companies like service sector companies, companies which are creating software solutions. Like there's one of the companies with which we are ourselves associated with. Munna Bhaiya is co-founder that called Nagaro. There are other companies like that. There's TCS, Infosys. So these kind of companies usually have a more general role. They are hiring people who know basics of data structures and algorithms, and then after hiring, they train those people towards whatever projects that they have. So they will train them in web development, back end, front end, whatever they require them. They need very good DS algo skills to be there with the students, right? Then there are going to be financial companies like D. Shaw or Goldman Sachs, Arcesium, JP Morgan. So these companies usually hire for a position called quant. Okay, so the quant positions are for people who write programs that are used for algorithmic trading, for predicting share prices, for creating loan models, creating financial risk models. Those kind of things are very mathematical in nature. Again, for those things, you might not be required to know any skills like web development, backend development, something like that. But your mathematical skills, like dealing with prime numbers, graphs, graph theory, these skills are going to be very important when you're dealing with these kind of companies. Okay. So coming to the topics that we're going to cover in this webinar, those are those topics which do not require you to write code directly, but it's pretty much about computer science. It's about knowledge that you must have as a computer scientist, which companies, when they're hiring, they are looking for. Okay, so broadly, there's going to be operating systems. There's going to be system design. Database management. Okay. Now, operating systems, most of the companies which are dealing with backend systems, like if you are looking for a job at Microsoft or Amazon, these kind of companies, they are going to ask you a lot of questions about system administration, how operating systems work, and because they are hiring you for a certain role in which it is very important for you to have a very good understanding of how your computer actually runs. It's not just about writing a few lines of code and clicking on the run button and the code just runs. It's more than that. You should know about how processors are managed, how memory is managed, not just pointers and memory addresses and all of that stuff, but how does the operating system manage memory? What happens when a lot of programs are running on your computer and your computer runs out of RAM? It should not crash, right? It should be able to handle such a situation. You open a lot of programs, it should be able to handle that. Okay, so those kind of things are very important. If any of you are in the domain of, say, electronics or communication, if you're looking to work in a company which deals with electronics, embedded systems, communication systems, then also understanding how a microprocessor and how microcontrollers work, these parts are very important. So in operating systems, we will be covering process management. Okay, so when you talk about process management, it's like how do operating systems allow multiple programs to run simultaneously? How does multi-threading work? Okay, multi-threading. Okay, what are deadlocks? So when more than two So more than two processes, if they want to use the same resource, they might get stuck. Your computer might hang. So how deadlocks are created, how they are handled. Some classical problems related to process management, like there is a chopstick problem. Then there is a reader-writer problem. So these are very classical problems, and these are asked a lot in interview questions. Is that if two people are, one person is cooking food, another person is eating it, and they need to tell each other when the food is ready. How do you design such a system? So knowing process management is very important because these are classical process management related questions. Okay. Next, we're going to cover memory management. So again, you notice, if you have seen in the task manager, if you open a lot of programs, you might see that your computer has 8 GB of RAM, but your programs have been allocated more than 8 GB of RAM. How is it possible for the computer to actually allocate more than 8 GB of RAM? Now, it's not possible for your computer to actually use more than 4 GB of 8 GB of RAM, because 8 GB of RAM is what your computer has. But there is a concept of virtual memory. Okay, virtual memory allows us to show to the computer programs that there is a lot of RAM, but actually there isn't. Then how are page files managed? What is swapping? So these are terminologies you might know if you have installed Linux on your computer. You might know that you need to create a disk partition called swap. Page files, if you go to Windows Computer Management, you would see that you need to create some space for page files in your disks. Okay, what is paging? What is swapping? What is virtual memory management? And if all of these things you have not done in the correct way, then there are problems, memory management problems like thrashing. So crashing is when your computer is so busy managing the memory that the programs are not able to use the memory, and in that case your computer can crash if thrashing happens. So what is thrashing? How all these things are used? So the thing is that all of these things are going to be a little theoretical in nature, because to be able to understand these things practically, we would have to actually build an operating systems. And while that's an interesting thing to do, and I have worked on the Android operating system along with Google, and at a place called Cyanogen, which is now called Lineage. You guys, some of you might be knowing, if you are interested in Android custom ROMs, Lineage, AOKP, these are all custom ROMs. So I've worked on the Android operating system itself, and it's a really interesting field to work on, working on the operating system, and but the problem is that it's hard. It takes a lot of time. Operating systems like Linux, the source code of Linux is 4 or 5 GB in size. You download that and it compiles. It takes half an hour to compile. Okay, the Linux, the Android source code is like 30 GB in size, and it takes 1 hour to compile the entire operating system. So those are, when you're trying to prepare for an interview, it's hard to understand every aspect of an operating system with a practical way. But I will try to give you as many practical examples as possible from real world operating systems that you guys use, like Android or Linux or some of these, so that you'll be able to relate to these problems more easily. If possible, I can show you a little bit on how operating system code is also written, right? So then comes file management, file handling. So here a bit of Unix knowledge would be required and would be imparted to you. Why? Because on Unix-based systems like Linux, Mac OS X, the files have permissions. And this is a very important topic, because a lot of companies who work on the backend servers, the servers are usually running on Linux servers. For big companies like Facebook, Amazon, not Microsoft. I think Microsoft runs their own Windows servers. Some companies do run Windows servers, but mostly companies like Google, Facebook, Amazon, the big ones, Twitter, all of these, GitHub, all of these companies, they are running their backends on Linux based servers. So understanding how Linux works is very important for people who do backend development. That's why companies are looking for people with good Unix skills. So we'll be covering some of the basics of using a Linux operating system, how file permissions are handled, how user roles are created. So all of these things we'll be covering. Okay. So yeah, then we're gonna talk about system design. I think before going to system design, let me just about networking, networks. Again, this is something very important for companies like Amazon, or there are companies which are working with a lot of network related stuff like Cisco, or browser stack. So these companies, they are going to look for really good network skills from the people. We'll be covering how the internet protocol works, including IPv4 addresses, IPv6 addresses, how they're allocated, um, routing. Okay, so how does routing in the network happen? When you connect your laptop to your router, what exactly takes place, right? And if, say, you have Wi-Fi at home, right? And if you connect your laptop and your say brother or your sister connects their laptop to the Wi-Fi, and both of you go to google.com and check what is your current IP address, you will find out that both of you have the same IP address. So Google does not see you and your brother differently, okay? They're two different computers. But when you are making Google search, your results come to your laptop, his results come to his laptop, right? So how are the packets coming from your laptop through your router going into the internet are routed back to your laptop, right? So it's very interesting things. So we are gonna cover those things: networking, IP, routing protocols, okay, and architecture, web architecture. So how does the web architecture really work? I mean, so you want to create a backend. There's going to be say database, right? And you want to connect this database to, what do you connect? Generally, we would connect it to a backend application, which we call our server. Okay, then there are going to be the users, right? And the users will browse a website, which is called your front end. These two need to communicate with each other using some mechanism, which usually is called the API, the application programming interface, right? The server might be fetching some data from other servers also, external sources, right? So how do web backends and front ends, how these architectures are created? This is also important to know because of this next part, which is system design. System design is again another important topic for interviews because it helps companies judge your way of thinking. So this is very necessary to understand one thing in system design is that don't think that there is a correct answer for system design questions. System design questions, some common ones are like if you have to create a website like Twitter, okay? So what would be the architecture of such a website? How many servers would you need? How you create your front end? What kind of data would you store in your database? All of these things. More commonly, system design questions would come up with more theoretical questions like elevator design. Okay, so you have this building and there is an elevator which goes up and down in this shaft. Okay, and there are different floors. So if somebody is standing here, somebody is standing here, they press the elevator button, they want to call the elevator up or call the elevator down. So what kind of algorithm would the elevator follow so that it can efficiently reach all the floors, let people go from one floor to another? Okay, there would be a lot of different constraints that you might be provided with, that if the elevator is going up, it should not go down unless everybody going up has gone up. Okay, or there could be constraints like if people press the down button and the up button both in front of the elevator should stop only once, should not stop twice. So system design questions are generally like the interviewer would ask you a question, they would give you a certain scenario, and then they would ask you, that okay, your solution is good, but what if I add this extra clause? How do you handle this extra situation? Okay, so all of this is part of system design, part of the course, right? We would have DBMS, mostly relational databases, that is SQL databases, right? And here we are going to expect you to read up a little bit on your own about the CRUD operations. So CRUD operations mean create, read, update, delete, which transforms to select, insert, update, and delete queries, right? So these four we are going to expect that a very basic idea of how to create a table, insert data, fetch data from that. You have the basic idea about this part. Just a second. Yeah, what was I saying? So yeah, database. So we are going to revise this part a little bit, but we are going to expect that you know a little bit about this part. People who have done computer science in 11, 12 would have an idea about this already. In college, maybe also you would have done a bit about DBMS. We are going to talk about more complex things like joins. So joins, you might think what's complex about a join, right? But companies are going to ask you questions about inner, outer join. It has got left outer join and right outer join. Okay, cross products in a database. Okay, normalization in database. What are normalization forms? First normal forms, second normal forms, all of these. Okay, and we will cover some design questions on database. So if you have to create a student management system with teachers, batches, courses, students, how to create the database, what kind of relationships will exist there. We'll also cover indexing. What are our indexing strategies? A little bit of DS knowledge would be required for this. Binary trees, B plus trees, B minus trees, BSTs, all of these things are required because we generally index our database using such data structures, right? So yeah, I mean, mostly it would be these kind of topics are going to be covered. And the best thing during this course, we will be having some webinars, and in this webinars we will be covering some really interesting, enjoyable, and funny parts about interviews, things that you should keep in mind when you are going for a coding interview. Okay. To give you an idea, one of the very favorite questions of interviewers across a lot of places is the Fizzbuzz problem. Okay, so this is called. I'm talking about a coding problem here, but it does not require any extra coding knowledge, so it's very easy for you to answer this question. It's a Fizzbuzz problem, and a Fizzbuzz problem says that you have to write down the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. But whenever there is a number that is divisible by 3, you're going to write fizz. And whenever there is a number divisible by 5, you're going to write buzz. And whenever there is a number divisible by 15, we are supposed to write Fizzbuzz. Okay, so the list would look a bit like this. I think go here. So the list would look like this. There'd be 1, 2, then fizz, then 3, then buzz, then fizz, because 6 is divisible by 3, then 7, 8, buzz, fizz, so on. After 14, we will have Fizzbuzz, because this number is 15, which is divisible by 15, right? So we have to print a list like this, and it's a very easy question. I mean, everybody knows the answer to this. You create a for loop, check if a number is divisible by 3, write fizz, divisible by 5, write buzz, divisible by 15, you write Fizzbuzz. Okay, but what are interviewers looking for when they are giving you a question like this, right? And those are the things that we are going to cover. I would like to give you a tiny little assignment even in the first webinar. Try and solve this Fizzbuzz problem. look up on the internet what is the best possible solution. You are going to learn really interesting things. Okay. Uh, Usually, when people write the Fizzbuzz problem, they create it using four if conditions, four if statements. It can be reduced to only two if statements. Okay, it can be reduced to three if statements, and it can also be reduced to two if statements. Okay, you have to think a little bit out of the box to be able to do that. The next thing is people usually check divisibility when we are going to learn about process management, about operating systems, and about how computers actually do mathematical operations. We are going to see the complexity, the and the basically the complexity of an operation like modulo and the complexity of an operation like plus. Okay, so if I take two numbers and I add them, and these were say 4-digit numbers. When I mean 4-digit, I mean 4 binary digits. Okay, when I'm talking about 4-digit number, computer is adding means it's going to be a binary digit. So say 1011 and adding with 1100, right? And whatever is the answer to that, we're going to calculate. It's going to be 11001, right? But the point is, what is the complexity of this operation? Given n is equal to the number of digits, n is 4 in this case. So what is going to be a complexity of the add operation? Okay, if you're trying to look for the answer is on. Try to find out why. What is the complexity of subtraction? What is the complexity of multiplication? And what is the complexity of division? What is the complexity of modulo? When you have two numbers, both are n digit in size. So A and B. So A modulo B, if A and B are 10-digit numbers, what's the complexity? And you would see that the complexity of adding is less than the complexity of modulo. So we can actually solve this Fizzbuzz problem without using the modulo operator, using the counters. Okay, so if you look up the Fizzbuzz problem on the internet, look for the solutions that exist, you'll find out that a problem as simple as this: for loop and if conditions. That's it. Okay, no data structures, no complex algorithms involved. But even in such a small problem, we can very easily judge how good a programmer a person is. How well does he know how a computer works? Not just how well does he know how to code, because you need very basic coding knowledge to be able to write the solution to Fizzbuzz. But if you know how computers work, you can write an efficient solution for that. So we're going to discuss some topics like these as well during this course. So hope you all are going to have a great time watching these videos. Any problems that you have, please go forward and put the doubts in on discuss.codingblocks.com. Courses you can view from online.codingblocks.com. The videos are going to be available here. There might be some MCQ sections during the videos as well, so you will have to answer those MCQs as well. So whatever else you have problems with signing up for the course or anything else, please drop me an email. Again, my email ID is arnav@codingblocks.com. First, the non-coding part of the videos will be available to you from the month of June. The videos on coding topics. If you are on the C++ side of the course, then the C++ videos. If you are on the Java side of the course, then the Java videos, they will start to be made available to you from June. Okay, so I hope that solves most of the concerns that anybody had. If anybody had any other concerns, please ask in the chat box. I am online for another 2-3 minutes, and after that I'm going to end this webinar. Thank you all for attending the webinar. Also, one more thing. If you are looking for some good interview experience videos, you wanna check those out. That's possible. Go to this website, resources. Oh, sorry, I think it's. Yeah. So if you go to this website, codingblocks.com slash resources, you would find out a lot of interview problem questions, interview problems that have been asked at some top level companies' interviews. You will find solved solutions to them. You will find experiences of people who have worked as an intern at some really good companies, and their experience on how they were able to convert their internship into a PPO. Okay, so you will find you know people who have worked at Adobe, at Amazon. Manish, who was one of the teaching assistants at Coding Blocks last year, and one of the best students that Coding Blocks had. He worked at Amazon, converted to PPO. You can find out those work experiences. And the best of all, you would find an entire section on interview experiences. Okay, and people who have gotten selected into companies like Goldman Sachs, Amazon, Fidelity, Cesium, Adobe, Deisha. There are people from Coding Blocks. They all of their experiences. Some of them also have videos where they have explained what was the process and how they got selected. The questions that came during the interviews are present. You can look at the question, the solution that they had provided, because of which they got selected, right? So all those interview experiences are available there. Some difficult questions from hacker blocks, which Pratik Bhaiya has taken a lot of time out to solve. Those solved solutions are also available. So you can go through these. Okay. Some more chats which have come to answer those. Prankur, will we cover all the topics required for an interview? Yes, we would definitely try to cover all the topics that are required for an interview. Mustafa has said competitive programming is important. It is definitely important. So Pratik Bhaiya is part of the course. The second half of this course is going to deal with competitive programming related questions only. We are going to have mock tests. We will schedule some interviews, face-to-face interviews, for you guys over Skype or Hangouts, right? Which would give you a complete interview kind of experience. Verbal questions, phone screen, where we would give you a programming problem and you have to write that on a live whiteboard or a live, notepad kind of thing. So exactly the kind of interview process that is followed for off-campus interviews, we would give you an exact same interview process to you guys. Okay. And in fact, if somebody does very well in one of our mock interviews, we can probably give you a placement at Coding Blocks itself, because Coding Blocks, here also we are hiring people to do a lot of amazing jobs like teaching, development. This online platform that you're seeing, that also we are developing in-house. Our own developers have built that. So we can even hire you if you really do well in one of the mock interviews. Okay. Coding part related, all the videos, all the content will start getting available from June. Okay, to answer that question. So thank you guys once again. Thank you for attending. Just say good night to all of you guys. So I'm gonna meet you over videos. A lot of my videos are already there on the course. More are getting uploaded. Okay, some 5 or 10 would be uploaded today. More tomorrow. Some of you have exams, so it's okay if you have exams. You can watch those videos later once your exams have ended. Those of you who don't have exams, go through the videos. If you have any doubts, please feel free to ask.